We have a unique situation here in this House and Senate where we have a bipartisan and bicameral group of people coming together for a single issue. In that single issue, I'd like you to imagine a woman so desperate for drugs that she's willing to trade her 4-year-old daughter to be used for sex in order to get those drugs. I'd like you to imagine a father who thinks he's doing the right thing sitting next to his son playing Roblox on 2 separate computers. When mom comes in behind the son and discovers he's privately messaging an old man about sending images of his nude body. Imagine a college student who has lost his or her scholarship and is ashamed to tell the parents, and another student gets them sucked into selling nude photographs, and then under threat of releasing those images to the parents, gets them hooked into prostitution. Ladies and gentlemen, slavery still exists in America. It's in our communities, it's in our neighborhoods, from parents and siblings trafficking young children to sextortion schemes that cause people you'd never suspect to be involved, and being involved in what the trafficking community calls the life. The shame of this has caused lawmakers and community government leaders for far too long to shy away from confronting it. That has opened the door for organized crime and individuals with perverted desires to quietly build networks that have caused this scourge to become pervasive. It has grown so much that it exceeds the income totals of not just the NFL, but adds Major League Baseball, the NBA, the National Hockey League, in fact, all professional sports in America. But wait, let's add the combined incomes of Meta and Starbucks. They still don't equal what is being the money that is used in the trafficking here in America. Just a few short months ago, it was poised to overtake the worldwide illicit drug sales revenue. And the cartels have realized that they don't have to go back out and get into the supply chain to bring in new drugs. They're now shifting their attention into this because they've only got to acquire the victim once and they can rent them out 6, 7, 12 times a day. There's a core group of legislators standing with us right here, right now, who are saying no more, no more. We've formed a bipartisan, bicameral legislative anti-trafficking caucus to evaluate over 20 pieces of legislation and begin pushing for those that have bipartisan support, regardless of the individual whose name appears first on the bill, and to get them into law to protect children and vulnerable populations from being victims, increase penalties for buyers and traffickers, provide education through schools, nursing and medical programs, veterans and trade organizations, while giving survivor networks, human service agencies, and law enforcement the tools that they need to get to deal with the demand, supply, and as a means to recover. Right now, Shared Hope International has their grading scale has Pennsylvania graded as an F. Our intent is to start working together for an A rating in dealing with these issues. This is not a feel-good caucus, it's a working caucus. Our intent is to find those bills that have strong bipartisan support, to work collaboratively to make the changes that will get us that strong bipartisan support and work together to get these bills on the governor's desk and ultimately signed into law. We've already started down the path, and we have 3 bills that we will discuss after I give other members of the steering committee here an opportunity to introduce themselves. And we will start with my colleague, Senator Collette.
Thank you, Senator Dash, and thank you all for being here this morning. We are so appreciative of this great outpouring of support. Good morning, everyone. I am pleased to gather with all of you as we recommit to a common and noble goal, ending the scourge of human trafficking in Pennsylvania. I heard my colleague, Senator Dush, also refer to it as a scourge. I have to say, when I was looking over my comments yesterday, I looked for a synonym, and there is no other word, really, that fits this. And so scourge is absolutely what we need to describe human trafficking in Pennsylvania as. My name is 𝐅𝐢𝐫𝐬𝐭-𝐄𝐯, and I am proud to represent parts of Montgomery County in Pennsylvania's 12th Senatorial District. Early in my career, I worked as a Deputy Attorney General representing the interests of children victimized by abuse and neglect. So the urgency of this issue, the challenges survivors of trafficking, especially children, are facing, is very real to me. Since taking office, I've heard from law enforcement, attorneys, victims advocates, educators, healthcare providers, and constituents who are alarmed by both the rise in human trafficking cases and the harmful misconception that trafficking doesn't happen here. The truth is, Pennsylvania has among the highest numbers of reported human trafficking cases in the country, with nearly 300 cases involving almost 700 victims and survivors reported through the Human Trafficking Hotline in 2024 alone. Community-based nonprofits and advocates across the Commonwealth, including those standing with us today, know the heartbreaking stories behind these grim statistics. They have worked tirelessly to provide support services to survivors and their families, educate their neighbors about the signs of trafficking, and push for meaningful policy reforms. Organizations like Mission Kids Advocacy Center, the Women's Center of Montgomery County, Laurel House, and the Montgomery County Child Advocacy Project from my district, thank you for being champions in this fight. Thank you so much for joining us as we work together to create policy that is going to make Pennsylvania a better place. This new caucus that we're announcing today will allow us to build on the progress we've made in advancing bipartisan anti-human trafficking legislation. It will allow us to strengthen partnerships with key stakeholders and send a strong message to the people of Pennsylvania: we are not backing down. We're going to do everything we can to identify and end trafficking networks and to make sure survivors have the tools and resources they need to recover and thrive in the next chapter of their lives. I look forward to continuing this work with my colleagues in the legislature, with our partners in law enforcement, and with anti-trafficking and victims services organizations throughout our Commonwealth, because every one of us deserves to live safe, healthy, and dignified lives. It is my pleasure to turn this over to one of the co-chairs of our caucus, Representative Owlett.
Thank you. Thank you, and thank you to everybody that came out today to help us out with this. I just want to say this is a shining glimmer of hope in politics, where you see groups coming together and trying to pick an issue that we can champion together. And I have a renewed hope in this building and what can go on here for the good of the people of the Commonwealth. My name is Representative Clint Owlett, and I serve Tioga and half of Bradford County, and this has been a big issue for us that we've been trying to talk about for a number of years now. And I'm going to take a little bit of a different spin on this, and then be on the digital human trafficking side. There's a lot of different things that are going on out there when it comes to trafficking. A few years ago, last year, we had 2 events in our district, and that's really the power of the legislative process. Is yes, we can do legislation, we can do a lot of different things down here, but we can hold events in our districts where we actually talk about the issues, the heavy things that most people don't want to talk about. And that's been kind of what we've been trying to do. So we had 2 events where we really took head on the issue of digital human trafficking and had those hard conversations. And a few weeks later after that, actually it was probably about a month or 2, I was picking up my dry cleaning, and I had a grandmother that came up to me and she said, "You saved my granddaughter's life." And I was like, now this is going to be an interesting conversation. She shared that she brought her granddaughter to one of our events, who happens to live in a different state, and learned a ton of things about engaging in your kids' lives, very simple things of how to be there for them, have those hard conversations. And she went and told her son about everything she learned, who had a really in-depth conversation with his daughter, and found that she had been communicating with somebody inappropriately for several months. The police got involved, and they they figured that she probably also had a burner phone, and sure enough, she did. This girl was 12 years old. And that broke my heart, and it made me go right straight to my truck, and I emailed our team, and I said, just so you know, we're saving 12-year-old girls' lives in different states. And that's what we're doing. So there's a lot of really good things that we can be doing in here in Harrisburg, and we're going to be doing those things, or those are very important things. But what I want to say is never underestimate the value of a pancake and a sausage patty. What does that mean? We have a job as parents, we have a job as grandparents to engage in our kids' lives. There are people that are trying and targeting our kids online each and every single day. They are a target, that's what they want, they are going after them, that is their goal. We have to combat that, and we're going to do that down here, but that has to happen in the home. And when the family breaks down, it becomes a really big problem. So my encouragement is this. Look for opportunities to take your kids and your grandkids out for breakfast. Engage with them, have those hard conversations. Don't expect them to open up the first time you take them out. Make it a weekly event, engage with them, have those conversations, find out who they're talking to, and save their lives. Help them understand the threat that's out there, not just for their sake, but for their friends' sake as well. Their friends are dealing with this, and their friends may not have parents that are going to engage like you're going to. So that's my ask. We're going to do what we can here, but do what you can in the home as well. And it's my pleasure to introduce Representative Burgos, a good friend of mine from Philly.
Good morning. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Special thank you to Senator Collette, Senator Dush for convening us and providing this platform so that we can work bicameral and, most importantly, as Pennsylvanians. Today, we're taking steps forward, not as Democrats or Republicans, but as public servants united by a common goal. Human trafficking is a reality. It's happening here in Pennsylvania. Statistics from National Human Trafficking Hotline consistently rank Pennsylvania among the top states for reported cases. Studies show that up to 88% of trafficking survivors report having contact with a healthcare provider while being trafficked, yet they're rarely identified. Our hospitals, urgent care facilities, and community centers aren't just places for treatment. They're critical points of intervention. Currently, Pennsylvania's response in clinical settings is fragmented. A victim entering an ER in Erie may receive a vastly different level of care and screening than one urgent care center in Philadelphia. The inconsistency isn't just insufficient, it's dangerous. It allows victims to slip through the cracks and return to exploitation. That's why I'm proud to stand here today as part of the Anti-Human Trafficking Caucus. I will be introducing legislation to establish the Healthcare Human Trafficking Screening and Intervention Act in Pennsylvania. Healthcare providers are often the only professionals a victim sees without their trafficker present. Without a standardized trauma-informed protocol, providers may miss sublet red flags, such as scripted histories or inconsistent stories, signs of physical and psychological branding, and more. My bill would require Department of Health to establish a uniform set of protocols for all emergency rooms across the Commonwealth, urgency facilities, and community health centers. Key components will include evidence-based screenings, mandatory private consultation, trauma-informed training, and a warm handoff protocol, ensuring that identification leads to survivor-led support services, not just police reports. This bill isn't placing a heavier burden on our healthcare workers. It's providing them with the tools they have been looking for. My fellow lawmakers with us today are committed to working together to confront human trafficking with the urgency it demands, because at the end of the day, it's about recognizing humanity of those who have been exploited and making sure that when they reach out, someone is prepared to see, hear, and help them. Especially today, where politics is so divided. It's time that we place Main Street first and show Wall Street the way out. Thank you. And now, Co-Chair Senator Phillips Hill.
Thank you, Representative Burgos, and thank you to everyone who's here today, who's been brought together through the leadership and vision of my good friend and colleague, Senator Dush. When I think about this issue, I go back to Act 1 of 2020. It was called the Buyer Beware Act. And that was one of the first major efforts that I was so very proud to help champion to address our human trafficking problem here in Pennsylvania. And it sent a clear message. We are going to hold buyers accountable, and we're going to start going after the demand side of this crime. And since then, we have continued to build on that work. Not overnight, not all at once, but step by step. We are strengthening our laws, we are improving coordination, and importantly, we are shifting the focus to where it belongs, and that is the victims. Because for too long, the people being exploited were too often treated like part of the problem instead of what they are, victims who need support, who need a path forward, who need to have their lives restored. At the same time, we have worked to make sure that we are targeting the real criminals, the traffickers, and those who are fueling the demand for those victims. But here's what we're seeing now. This is not the same issue that it was even a few years ago. More and more, as you heard Representative Ellett talk about, it starts online, through social media, through apps, where exploitation can begin long before anyone realizes it's happening. And that changes everything. It means we can't rely on the same playbook. We have to be faster. We have to be more coordinated. We have to be more focused on where the real gaps still exist in our laws. And that is the purpose of this caucus. It is not to talk about the problem, but to stay ahead of it, to make sure that we are supporting victims the right way, that we're going after the people who are responsible for this scourge, and that we're not missing where this crime is evolving. Because we have made progress. We've made real progress. But if we stop right here, we will fall behind. And on an issue like this, falling behind is not an option. And so I am so very grateful to stand here before all of you with these incredible people behind me to say, enough is enough. We are going to work to end this scourge. Thank you. And now it is my great honor to introduce Representative Young.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Regina Young. I am a state representative of Philadelphia and Delaware counties, and I would like to just start by saying this. We are people serving people. Some of us are legislators, some of us are advocates, some of us are parents, some of us are survivors, some of us are people who are interested in joining the fight. But the common goal here is, regardless of our political affiliations, regardless of our titles, we are all simply people. And like my rep outlet said, if we start with conversations in our households, if we start with conversations in our schools, and clearly I appreciate this caucus because we're starting it right here in our government, and this is the first of its kind. And so only thing it takes is people with intentional service to others. If we continue to remain selfless and understanding that, I have yet to meet a parent who said they did not want the best for their child. I have yet to meet a grandparent who said they did not want the best for their grandchildren. I have yet to meet a teacher to say they did not want to protect their student. And if you ask each of us as legislators, we will say we want the best for our constituents. So if that's the case, it shows up in moments like this. And I would like to also remind people the significance of this particular caucus in this particular moment in the Commonwealth, because government is chaotic right now. everywhere, including here, let's be honest. But when we can focus on a singular goal to ensure that we are working towards reestablishing the dignity and humanity, it shows up like this right here on this stage. And so to my colleagues, to the advocates, to everybody here in this audience, the more we work together, the better the outcome for people. Because once again, regardless of the titles, we are all people serving people. So thank you again for this opportunity. Oh, sorry. Got excited. I would like to introduce my colleague, Representative Clark.
Thank you, Representative Young. Thank you. I'm State Representative Kate Klunk. I represent Southern York County, and thank you so much to all of our advocates for joining us today. So today, I stand here with this dedicated group of lawmakers, advocates, and our community leaders, united as one in a resolute cause to end the heinous crime of human trafficking. Now, the legislators who stand behind me, they not only represent diverse communities in our Commonwealth, but we also represent differing opinions on many key issues. And yet today, we have Republicans and we have Democrats standing side by side to not only announce the formation of this Anti-Human Trafficking Caucus, but also to announce our endorsement of Representative Donna Schurin's House Bill 910, a truly bipartisan bill with common sense measures aimed at protecting our most vulnerable citizens from becoming victims of human trafficking. This critically important legislation would strengthen penalties for the trafficking of infants, those under 1 year of age. It directly targets the illegal trafficking or sale of newborns, crimes that truly violate the most sacred bonds of our families and our humanity. We come together today urging our colleagues to bring this bill to the forefront of discussions here in Harrisburg so that we can better protect the youngest among us. There are truly startling statistics that support the need for this legislation. Infants and children make up a significant share of victims in human trafficking. Globally, children account for approximately 38% of all identified human trafficking cases. The rate of identified child trafficking across the globe increased 31% from 2019 to 2022. And sadly, here in the United States, approximately 63% of child trafficking victims were exploited by family members or other close acquaintances, the people who are truly supposed to love and protect them the most. And these statistics are heartbreaking. But I'm here to say that there's hope. There's hope from this caucus, and there's hope in House Bill 910 from my good friend Representative Schurin. By increasing criminal penalties for dealing in infant children, this bill would attach real legal consequences to these horrific crimes by serving both not as just a deterrent to traffickers, but also showing our commitment here in this Commonwealth to bringing those people to justice. We will not allow traffickers to exploit infants and those who are defenseless and voiceless here in this Commonwealth. House Bill 910 is a moral imperative. Amid rising child trafficking worldwide and alarming domestic trends, Pennsylvania must lead with resolve and with compassion. Strengthening penalties for trafficking infant children is not just a policy, it is truly a declaration that our Commonwealth honors the lives of our infants, demands accountability, and ensures that no newborn falls through the cracks. I'm truly honored to be a co-sponsor of this bipartisan legislation, and Representative Schurin, thank you so very much for your leadership on this issue. Now is the time that we must work together as a bipartisan caucus, this Anti-Human Trafficking Caucus, to bring House Bill 910 across that finish line, because every single infant in Pennsylvania deserves protection and every family deserves justice. Thank you so very much, and I will kick it back to Senator Dush.
Thank you, Representative Klunk. And as I said, this is a working caucus. You've heard from Representative Burgos and on Representative Shuren's bill. Those are two of the initial bills that we have approved. We've gone over these bills and we've found unanimity in the language, and we're willing to stand as a caucus to push leadership in all four caucuses to get these bills done. And Representative Young's bill is through the House and it's through some committees in the Senate. I'm hoping, that, although that was before we had the caucus formed, I'm hoping to see that come to law as well. We also have another caucus endorsed bill, Senate Bill 45. I've been working with the Attorney General's office for the past 2 years to help fund their new and dedicated anti-human trafficking unit. They've been able to pull the human trafficking investigations out of the organized crime section and create their own section. That's been some work that Attorney General Henry, when she was there, she worked to help us get that done. And we're working with Attorney General Sunday now on this bill. But we're making some significant changes. First, with Senate Bill 45, prostitution-related charges are under public indecency. The courts and juries and the like, they tend not to take that all that seriously. We saw a significant change when we changed from child porn to child sexual abuse material. When we changed that language in the law, we saw a significant increase in enforcement, and we also saw a significant increase in the seriousness with which the courts have taken this. So we are moving this out of the public indecency segment of Title 18, and we're moving it over into the human trafficking section where it rightly belongs. So this also places it, gives the Attorney General now the ability to investigate, whereas under public indecency, they didn't have the authority, they don't have the authority to do that. So I'm thankful that my fellow legislators are supporting this bill as well. And one of the things I want to hit here, you're seeing with Representative Burgos, education for the nursing and that sort. Representative Shuren, you're targeting the impacts on the victims with these infants. Can you imagine that, infants? And on the law enforcement side, we have to take, those are the three of the pillars that we're establishing to bring these pieces of legislation together. We have efforts where behind me I have Jordan Pine from Greenlight Operations. She was able to secure a grant that was initially going to try and pull people together from all around the state into a single conference to try and find out what the state of human trafficking is here in Pennsylvania. I asked them to try and get it for all 67 counties. That didn't happen, but they did give us the opportunity to go around to 10 different locations. I think that actually ended up working out better because we have had the opportunity, some of the organizations are up here with me or down here in the front, where now counties are talking across county lines because they're there from several different counties. Agencies are talking across, and that we're destroying silos, and that's something we want to see. From the survivor networks, victim advocates, law enforcement, we're starting to see a coming together of all the parties who have a stake in this. There's a few organizations that are over here, but we've had so many more coming alongside us since that thing was printed that I'm very pleased with that. I'm also pleased that we've had a number of legislators, and I know I'm not going to get them all, but on the Senator Langerholtz, Senator Robinson, Senator Brown, Representative Steyer, Rep. Pugh, and of course Rep. Brown, we've had, some of them have had to come and leave today, but they are on board with this, And I'm sure I'm forgetting somebody in both of these groups, but I'm so very, very grateful. Again, this is a working caucus, and we're going to go through these pieces of legislation that are out there. We're going to find commonality. And in fact, Senator Collette's team came up with something that we needed to tweak my bill on, and we did that before we ended up taking it to the caucus. So that's the way we're going to work, and hopefully we'll have all these things ironed out and good pieces of legislation that will actually be an impact on the survivors. With that, I will open it up to any questions from the press or any of the organizations who are here that have a. Well, I do want to thank you all, especially those who have partnered with us in this fight, and encourage anybody else that is out there that has a stake in this. Survivors, one of the things at my opening remarks, you'll recognize that I was getting a bit emotional over this. It's hard to unhear the things that I've heard, and it really strikes to the heart. So if you're a survivor out there, if you're part of a survivor network, we've got a group of people who are, like I said, it's no more. No more. We've got to put a stop to this and have an impact. God bless all of you, and thank you.